your name and describe yourself and what you do.
All right, I'm Kirby703. I play Tetris, notably TGM. I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of weird things. I've done some normal things too. I've gotten my 40-line sprint down to 22 something. Got a NES Tetris max out, DAS 19 max out. Some highlights. I'm a Grandmaster in all the TGM games. I mean, I don't know. I was X rank on Tetrio once. It was season 1, but.
That's still very impressive. How did you get involved with Tetris?
Ooh, okay, so the short answer is that I don't really remember, but I do remember maybe 2016 or so playing SNES Tetris a little bit with my mom, and I was kind of okay at it at the time. But I want to say I had touched Tetris Friends a little bit before that. Rip Tetris Friends.
I know before you got into Tetris, or at least around the same time maybe, you did a lot of Spelunky stuff.
I did do a lot of Spelunky stuff. I was a pretty good speedrunner in my day. Not one of the best of any particular era, but mostly I'm well known for the glitches. Spelunky has a sort of Super Mario Bros. 1 minus world thing going on, where you can do all sorts of arcane nonsense to these little creatures and convince the game to put you in world 23 out of 5, where you can play forever-ish.
That's awesome. The first sort of achievement that I have down right now is the Kirbtris /
Yeah. So, Tetris Effect, no connected yet, released in November 2018. And when it released, people were like, oh, this zone mechanic is really cool. It sends all your cleared lines to the bottom. You can do a massive line clear at once. The board is 20 high, so you can do a 20 clear. Unknown what it'll be called. Game hasn't released yet. The demo drops, and maybe a dozen people do a 20. It's got names you'd recognize. Myself, I think Oshisor, Wumbo probably. People of the era who are up to doing weird things. But the game releases, and within a week or two, I do 21. Nobody else has really proposed that it's possible. I think Oshisor wanted to, but she hadn't gotten the game for her birthday yet, so I ended up being the first. They named it a Kirbtris. A little bit later, I do 22, and it's called the Impossibilitris instead of the Ultimatris. And I'm like, well, wait, now what's 21 named? And I check and it's named the Kirbtris, and it's just super flattering.
How did you get into Tetris Effect in the first place?
Yeah, I guess around 2018, I was pretty into Tetris the game, if not Tetris the scene. I was around Jonas's stream at least as early as summer of 2018, and I was playing a lot of NES Tetris. I was probably a 600k player at the time. I was whittling down my 40 line, probably somewhere in the 30-something seconds range. Actually, November 2018? Might have been 40-something. And I was like, oh, Tetris Effect is releasing. It's got all new modes. I really liked the appeal of mystery mode. I mean, I like weird stuff in Tetris. I like when Tetris games are not afraid to do new things. So mystery mode was a super big draw for me in Tetris Effect.
So, I guess speaking of your NES stuff, your first max out, what was that like?
Oh my gosh, my first max out. Okay, so that was 2020 or so. I was just kind of playing. I mean, I was in the NES scene at the time. I was doing the Classic Tetris Monthly tournament series. I was just hanging out with my friends every now and again. I think I was alone when I got my max out, and I didn't record my first one. It was a A07 or something, and then I got my next one a day later, a little bit better, maybe A08, A10, A15, I don't know. I don't remember the score at this point, but I'm oh yes, it's that easy. I never got any 900Ks. I got an 860 something K before my max, and then I just kind of played 19 a bit. I wanted to get good enough at DAS 19 to make it happen. It was nice though. It wasn't a super big pop-off moment, but it was sort of the culmination of my NES stuff. I didn't really have anything to do after the max, because I couldn't tap. Rolling was not around yet, not even in backdoor discussions with Cheese. or backroom discussions with cheese. So yeah, DAS Max was like the thing I wanted to go for. And then I was like, well, may as well go for 19 Max, and that took a while.
Yeah. And then, I mean, eventually you did some of the secret grade stuff, right?
Yeah, I did do some secret grade stuff. You're really like hitting the timeline. I wonder if you went down my YouTube page or something. Earlier in 2020, I picked up Tetris the Grandmaster, the series, and I got this really efficient secret grade. You can do it with only 2 line clears. As long as you make sure the parity works out right and you don't make any mistakes and you just end off the secret grade perfectly, right? And then I wanted to submit it to the TGM series leaderboards for mostly the English-speaking community. We have a Japanese translation up, but most of the Japanese players kind of keep to themselves. And it wouldn't accept it. It was like, oh, it has to be level 55 or higher, but 2 line clears got me to like level 52. So I whittled down secret grade for a bit, and then I picked up Tetris the Grandmaster 3 and went for World GM, and then I'm like, well, you know, this game's great. Maybe I'll go to Tetris the Grandmaster 1 and get Classic, or, you know, Tetris the Grandmaster 1 GM there. That's how I got hooked on the TGM series. Technically I started via Carnival of Death. Boats and Joe's got me to pick up Death in March 2020. And then I put TGM down again. But he might have gotten me started. He might have been the cause of me doing that secret grade. At least at the time I did. I mean, I love hopping around between Tetris games. I'm sure I would have gotten to it at some point. At the time I got World GM, I had played with the standard super rotation system for some time. And I had played in Infinite Gravity on Tetris Effect, notably its master mode, so named because it's a vague approximation of the TGM series, I should imagine. And I was also pretty good at Invisible Tetris. I had tried my hand at both NES with some Game Genie codes to make it invisible, and with Gestress's Invisible Skin. Oh, and I guess my first case was probably Tetris Friend Survival, which at the time I was really terrible at. But Invisible Tetris just drew me in. And then I heard about World GM, and I got an Invis roll, and I did pretty well in the roll. And I was like, well, I may as well learn all the weird stuff behind TGM3. I may as well get even better at Invis. World GM really kind of put me on this path.
Speaking of Invis.
Speaking of Invis.
Speaking of Invis, just how? Why how?
Oh my gosh, why and how? Okay, why is because it appeals to me greatly. Everyone sees Invisible Tetris, or doesn't see it, as it were, and they're like, oh, this is impossible. How am I even supposed to play this? Like, I don't enjoy playing this M roll. But I don't know. I saw it as a challenge, and I had sort of a shallower on-ramp to it with Gestress, because you get a ghost piece to feel out the stack in low gravity, you get multiple previews and hold, and it's just a way easier place to start from. I always recommend people start on Gestress, especially if they're familiar with SRS, but even if they're not, really. And I just wanted to do my best in Invis, and then I sort of picked up TGM3, and then I was doing 20G Invis, and then I guess eventually the topic of Phantom Mania came up again, and I tried my hand at it, and I was pretty good at it, and I'm like, well, I guess it's time to become the first Phantom Mania NGM. So I did end up playing it on Nolpamino eventually. I have one Phantom Mania GM on Nolpamino with Standard Hard, I think is what the rule's called, but mostly I was drawn in by Cambridge's, like, nice clean UI. They let me play all sorts of weird modes and make all sorts of weird modes. I like using Cambridge as a playground to like make weird stuff. I think it's a good client for it. I'm not really as good at time attacking Invis. Aurora is good enough at Invis to clear all these modes and incredible at time attack. So she's definitely got like all the time attack records for Invis, but then I've got like lines records on like Cultures 2 Shitaige. I've got the score record in Tetris Friend Survival, where I just stopped because I had been playing for too many hours. Like, it was definitely too easy to marathon. Aurora cooked up this version of Phantom Mania once where instead of ending at 999, it just keeps on going forever. you can take that to level 10,000. Maybe not you in particular, but you know, it could be done. I could sit down for an hour and do it. So Phantom Mania was what I was doing like 2021. And maybe I picked up Phantom Mania 2 in early 2022 or late 2021. Not sure which. I kind of milled about for a bit there without like a clear goal in mind. So I guess after 2022, I kind of started doing oddball stuff. There was the 27 zone lines with giant pieces. There was like the secret grade mop-up stuff. Eventually I would be good enough for tap Master GM and tap Death GM and classic S13. But I like doing weird things. I like clearing TGM1 with all singles or TI easy without rotating in each rule. I want to do TI easy blindfolded at some point because that's like 200 levels totally blindfolded. In Nest Tetris, I've done 10 lines blindfolded. That was like a couple months ago. I got an orange line S6 in TI Shirase. That means you clear the game with an S6. Oh, what other sorts of weird stuff? I mean, I got like TGM1, Secret GM, and Reverse GM, and Big GM. Just really cleaning up all the weird stuff you can do in Tetris the Grandmaster 1. At some point, I should try my hand at all codes, where you play like Big, Reverse, Monochrome, Uki, 20G, and TLS, which doesn't matter, all at the same time. No one has an all codes GM yet. Well, Jujubee claims to have one. I know like Caithness and Eon are pretty good at all codes, so the race has been on for quite some time and it's not been going anywhere, but maybe I'll pick it up eventually. I have all sorts of weird stuff I want to do. I still haven't gotten Techmaster M30 start 300 lines. I just don't really have the speed for it. Every time I try, I get a little farther, but I don't know, it never keeps my interest. It's kind of boring, just like getting faster. I mean, I did like getting faster in 40 line, and then I finally hit my limit where I've maxed out the keys per second that I can do, and I'm making great decisions. Like, all I have to do is learn 6-3, and I don't want to learn 6-3. That sounds mind-numbing.
So, the absolute eye.
All right, so that's only a month and a half. Surely not that much could have happened then. So, the game releases, and I'm chattering about it with everyone. I'm so excited to like share my findings. I posted about like a gold Asuka master that I got, where you do it in TGM rule and standard rule, which not enough people do to have done it before me, I guess. I mean, someone might have, right? Like, I'm sure Green Tea could have done it, but I wouldn't have seen it if he posted about it. So, I came in with some pretty good perfect clear knowledge, so I've been doing really great at Konoha mode. Nilgiri is better than I am at perfect clears by a mile, and he's managed Konoha Master after a few weeks. I have 83 all clears in Konoha Hard, and it's not looking like it's getting any easier from here. Shiranui was fun. I played a little bit of that. Asuka was a pretty short-lived mode for me because I could beat it immediately and then it didn't really get any more fun from there. Normal mode I really, really liked. I still don't know exactly what the requirements are, but 6 Tetrises per section is a really strict requirement on efficiency, and I really like it. I like the sort of Nest Tetris mindset of just taking as few burns as possible. I think a lot of TGM players will settle for kind of mediocre efficiency because you don't need to be very efficient to get like S9 in tap. Like, TGM doesn't demand perfection from you until now, until normal mode. And then I had like a 558 and I'm like, what the heck? It's sub 6. It's got 6 Tetrises in every section. It had a really great roll, and yet nothing. It was fun to try to figure out what was going on with normal, like if triples mattered at all, or combos, or T-spins. perfect clears matter. We think the first perfect clear in every section counts for 2 Tetrises. There's probably some time cutoff in a section that counts for 1 Tetris. So we've done a number of tests. A few days in, I heard about the Tetris wiki stuff. I was like, oh, I can't wait to contribute all my findings to the wiki. And then I'm told, no, you probably want to avoid the wiki. So I ended up forking Tapcord. I made a new Discord, and like all the like people who are really interested in theory crafting moved to that Discord. We've done a lot of tests on normal. I did a run where I got 9 Bravos in 0 to 200, and it didn't count it for me, so only 1 Bravo counts. But I also did a run where I did 200 to 300 really fast, and with a Bravo, and you can get that done with 3 Tetrises, and it'll still count. So, I mean, normal mode is up to something, for sure. It seems like 6 Tetrises per section, -2 if you get at least 1 all clear, -1 if you're fast enough. And then the time limit is like 5:55-ish. But like, I don't know, any schmuck can go on the Tetris wiki and just find out what it is. Like, whatever. Like, I don't know, that's the state of TGM these days. I'm still unspoiled. I still haven't gone to the Tetris wiki because I hadn't seen all of Master Mode. And now I think I have seen all of Master Mode. Like, there doesn't seem like there's anything more for me to do. So, I don't know if there's any more tests I want to run on normal, or if I'm finally willing to just call it and like fix everything on the wiki. Because something I've noticed from a few days in was people would just come into my stream and tell me stuff. And I'd be like, I don't want to know that. Shut up. And then they did shut up. But then a few people would come in and ask me questions, like, that they wouldn't have had to ask if they didn't learn inaccurate stuff from the wiki. It's actually so relieving that the data miners are, like, incredibly bad at what they do. I've just heard nothing but misinformation from them. They're like, Konoha Hard ends at 110 perfect clears. Master Mode Rewind is 150 pieces. Normal Mode is like cut up into 111 sections for the numerator. Like, just misinformation nonstop. They were like, the roll matters, and then it doesn't matter. You can just line out the roll and you can still get 10 of 10. You can top out in the roll and you can get 10 of 9. I came up with that after being told to avoid the Steam forums too. And then I was like, oh, hang on, let me see if everyone that it was in this conversation was unspoiled on it. And they all were. So I'm kind of satisfied with that. I like having this big document of like stuff we know about normal. Like, it's so exciting to tear into a new game and like figure out what makes it tick. I really like that experimentation. I've done it with Spelunky, though with Spelunky I, was using reverse engineering tools because the game released in like 2010 or so it wasn't at all new by like 2021. But I mean, I guess the highlight of the show is Master Mode, right? I've mostly played on Standard Rule. I've done some TGM Rule runs, and I think my PB is like 1600 or something. Now that I've done Standard GM rounds, I want to play TGM Rule, but I have a whole bunch of real life stuff coming up, so we'll see how long it takes for me to get around to it. I'm kind of liking Green Tea's strategy more than Yoshi's for TGM Rule, but I think a few days after the game released, everyone was falling flat on their face to Master Peaky, and like nobody knew what to do. I got to 1600 in practice and was a little bit surprised that the game didn't end. Like, I thought, oh, this is impossible. There's no way it goes on for more than 300 levels. Like, Shirase Bone Blocks are only 300 levels. Cyclone's only 300 levels before it adds Nikki. Like, 300 seems like a nice length of time, and then it was so much harder. So I made what Kataru dubbed the Kirby machine.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just looking at various shapes that I could make that would get rid of pieces altogether. And I posted a few really weird ones that look super awful to construct. And eventually I settled on modifying one of them so that it can eat O's, S's, and Z's at the bottom. And then all you have left to manage are L's, T's, and J's. Because I probably sound like I'm playing Tetris for the first time when I say that S and Z pieces are so difficult to deal with. You kind of have to pair them up with L's and J's to like really get rid of them in most cases of TGM rule wells, unless you want to do like a super high 2-wide like Yoshi did, or get creative with your burns and put them on the left side like Green Tea did. But in SRS, you can do all sorts of weird spins. The S and Z spins make the Kirby machine go. And it's so exciting. Like, I love watching it in motion. The Kirby machine is truly infinite if you're willing to do a quite confident JTL solve. You put like a default orientation J, a point down T, and then you do an L spin double, and you can get rid of it even if you're not placing the L first. But usually I place the L first, and then I burn with a T and a J in some order. And then the O's, S's, Z's are all gone. The I pieces burn flat at the top. There's a staircase at the top to make sure that the pieces can step reset whenever you move them. Because after about 2000, the gravity really picks up. I think it's so funny how after reaching 2600 many times in practice, someone asked how I'm doing with 2000 gravity, and I was like, oh, do you mean 2300 gravity? And they were like, no, 2000, the fastest gravity. And this is how I found out that on day one, the data miners didn't notice that there was a speed up at 2300. I don't know how you could not notice that speed up. 2300 is like nightmarishly fast to play freestyle. But I got the Kirby machine down pat. I've been able to build it pretty consistently, more as the days go on. I've been able to clear it not that consistently, but more and more as the days go on. And then I got Grandmaster, and it was the first time I had been like really nervous and shaking about a Tetris game in a long time. Like, it was so exciting. I was calling Aurora at the time. She was like playing Lethal Company on the side, and then paused just to sit there and watch my GM run in progress. And I mean, it was so exciting. Seeing Endgame for the first time without being spoiled on the rewind or the roll or anything was super cool. Like, I'm so glad I didn't know about it in advance. Like, it was just really neat to experience. Like, the game just started doing things that I had no understanding of, and I thought, maybe it's some ending cutscene. Like, they're just rewinding everything back, or I'm gonna do like a second loop of the entire game, like it's some sort of shmup. And then I got to see a ready go happen, and I'm like, oh, I have to like get my fingers on the keys. I have to do something now. I kind of didn't know what was going on. The countdown timer didn't really make sense to me. And then I didn't know the pieces were going to keep freezing. Everything unfroze, and I downstacked it, and I'm like, oh great, I get to freestyle now. And then stuff froze, and I'm like, no, you can't do this to me. But then I was trying to figure out how to beat this, and I realized after the second Grandmaster, oh my gosh, I don't want to get the order wrong. It was Running Out Rate who got the second Grandmaster, also in World Rule with my machine, and he seems to be better at executing it than I am. Running Out Rate is an amazing high-speed player. Like, in Tetris Effect Connected, he's done super cool stuff with M30 and with Score Attack, and he can play my machine on 2300 speeds quite comfortably. He had this nice SL burn to get rid of extra Ls, because he didn't want to do the weird JTL thing either. And I mean, he makes it look easy. I'm kind of like stressed out executing my machine. I have to lock in on the Cyclone preview and just make sure I get all the inputs queued up in time. It's like some strange twisted rhythm game. And then of course I got to the end of the run, and I realized that I can kick an L 2 spaces up and have it fall 1 space to reset lock delay. And then I can rotate it again and let it fall another space to reset lock delay. And then I get to play another sick twisted rhythm game. where I have one finger of each hand just hammering away at the keyboard quite quickly for a minute straight. I messed this stall up a few times in practice, or more than a few times in practice. I messed it up a few times on Grandmaster runs, and then after 5 Grandmasters, I start up a new stream. I do a practice run from 12 or 1300. I get a couple early top out, or not early top outs, like early resets, because I like make a misdrop in the first 100 levels. And then I just play a game that's like 6:44, and then 11 minutes into the stream, that game is like over half the runtime of the stream, and it's a GM rounds. And that one was way less exciting. I just cheesed it. And it's fine. I mean, a GM rounds is a GM rounds. You can't say it's only a half. But it was not that exciting. I'm like, oh, it says rounds, like rounds mode from the TGM 2015 location test. All right, that's cool. That's neat. Glad to know that Master really is rounds as expected. I can't wait to see it happen in TGM rule though. It seems so impossible because you have to play 65 seconds with your Frozen Well, where your line clears are very efficient, getting you lots of levels. And then you have to play those same 65 seconds again, but downstacking everything and then upstacking everything, which is going to cost you time. And then you just have to do it as well as you did the last time to make it to 2600 in the same length of time with less efficient line clears. I think Green Tea's GM plus 2330 something is super impressive to watch. I genuinely think he could have gotten to 2600 in the next 10 seconds. I think his strategy is like the least flashy of everyone's, but it just looks really elegant. Like Yoshi's strategy and my strategy both look pretty cool when they're getting going. You're like, oh, this is like a magic trick happening before my own eyes. They're making all the pieces disappear. That's just how it is. But watching Green Tea play, like, you would think Miki is just the easiest gimmick in the world. It's so impressive. I mean, I really love Green Tea as a player too. He's done some neat stuff in Tetris the Grandmaster 3. He beat Tetris Effect's Master Mode on the 1.0 patch, where they made DAS shorter than Locked Away, so you have to do like jank stalling stuff. He's done a Tetris the Grandmaster 3 GM without any Tetrises, not even in the roll, which I think is just a cool little oddball thing to do. You need some big speed for that. And he tears it up at Versus. When Tetris Effect's Connected DLC launched with all the new multiplayer modes, they hosted an invitational zone battle tournament, and Blink won, because he's no slouch at Modern Versus at all. He's a big name to get invited to it. And then he played against Green Tea and got his shit handed to him. Blink got absolutely walloped. Like, Green Tea's play is just so impressive. I really like his breadth as a player too. I respect players with a lot of breadth. Agent Basie has been trying a bunch of new things in TAP lately. Just like submitting to new modes like TGM plus Secret Grade. Like, no one in their right mind is playing this mode seriously. And she's not playing it seriously either, but she's just kind of branching out, and I think it's really exciting to see. I mean, okay, that's kind of all I have to say about AE Master.
Anything else you want to mention?
I really like Invis Tetris. I do want to get everyone into it, but I still haven't made a beginner's guide for it. I guess I'm kind of thinking, what's next? Like, where do I go from here when I've hit most milestones? Like, I don't know, I have a DAS 19 max out. I have every Grandmaster grade in the TGM. Even the weird ones that TGM1 can award you. Like, what do I even do next? I'll find something. I've got a couple little oddball things in mind, but I'm kind of running out of stuff to do unless I want to really sit there and grind out a time attack or a score attack mode that doesn't have any clear end. But like, I don't want to go for an 8:45 TGM1 run or a 1.4 with DAS. Like, I don't really want to commit to that. So I guess I do want to go for like Konoha Master in TGM4. And I have a bunch of real life stuff coming up, so I have to, you know, tone down my Tetris play a little bit. My summer job hasn't started up yet, so I got to play like 200 hours of TGM4 in a month and a half, and I streamed most of it, which doesn't make you as much money as a job, but like, it was exciting. I had a full-time commitment for a bit there, and having that much time to commit to Tetris was so nice, especially coinciding with a game that has been awaited for like 20 years. I do eventually plan on going for TGM rule GM. I don't know if I want to go for GM rounds. I feel like it has such a weird incentive to stall at the end, and then all this pressure where you like play out this 5-minute long cutscene to get to 1300 and then have to do your best from there. It feels like optimizing TI big mode where you're just falling asleep for 6 minutes straight and then, oh hey, the game's starting, do your best. Oh, never mind, didn't do good enough. Back to the starting block. Those grinds I'm not super interested in. I'm not a Tetris player who enjoys grinds. I rarely commit a 3-digit number of hours to anything. AE Master was the exception because it's like a hotly awaited game. I did have some interest in being the first. I'm glad I got to be the first. I think that's super shiny, even if the Kirby machine is like a little bit of a cheese strategy, to be sure. I think in the time I spent perfecting it, I might have been able to do a strategy like Yoshi or Green Tea, but you know, I thought it would be easier. Starting it, I'm like, oh, this can eat every piece. All you have to do is execute it perfectly. And then eventually I did do that, but it took a while. I was stopped at $25.99 for a couple weeks before the patch that let you get to 2600 easier. That one kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't know there was going to be an eternal level stop there. And it's just like ding ding, ding ding, ding ding. Which is peak. Anyways, I love Kita Kitsune, the fox from Konoha and Asuka. I guess she's like from Konoha mode, probably, if I had to pick one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. I love finishing a section of Asuka and seeing her just like surrounded by hearts. I think it's really cute. Yeah, I mean, that's my Tetris time thus far. I mean, I've been at it for a number of years and just wanting to consistently improve at everything. Like, I love playing one game and then finding that it's taught me something new in another. I was reading through this Tetris concept post by Color Thief where he breaks down every decision he makes in a Death GM run, and once time he mentions tapping the O once to the left. This leaves a 3-column gap on the left side, which is perfect for TGM's eyepiece. And then I was playing Nest Tetris, and I had this big flat expanse in the middle, and I'm like, well, where do I put the O piece? And I realized that just putting it in 4-5 is so clean. I love focusing on clean stacking. I think a lot of people focus on just doing the same thing but faster, or you know, maybe they want to do some oddball thing like T-spins or perfect clears. I think that's fun too. But being able to stack cleanly, particularly in one preview no hold games, is such a beautiful fundamental skill. I highly respect like the Nest Tetris clean stackers like Tristop, Dangler, Fractal, Scooty, and people like Mycophobia or PKaz or Nakazami in the TGM scene that just like, they just stack cleaner. I'm not so interested in the and faster. I'll go fast enough for a Grandmaster. My GM rounds run was super fast, and I don't think I really need to time attack it any farther unless I can figure out how to do it without stalling so much. But I mean, the Toricon is somewhere between 711 and like 803 or something if it's time-based. And I kind of assume it's time-based. It would be very, like, TGM series to have a timed Toricon. Like, that's a classic staple of the series. I mean, I had one run that, like, made it to 2600 but didn't get endgame. And I had played it super slowly, but it had, you know, totally fine medal count. I assume it's time-based. I came in under that, but I don't really have an interest in time attack. Like, my TGM1 GM is somewhere between 10 and 11 minutes. In both standard and 20G. Like, it's, you know, it's got some speed to it. I'm not, like, lazing about, but The endless time attack grind doesn't interest me. The Ness endless score attack grind doesn't interest me. I think I could get a DAS 1.2, but you know, maybe it would take like 50 hours of grinding or something, or I'd have to like learn new skills. I am kind of interested in learning something new. That's it. I love Stack Cleaner. Less interested in Stack Faster, but it's neat up to a point. I did start on Tetris Friends and Nest Tetris and just climb my way up the Nest Tetris speed curve and get my 40 line down. And once you're past like a minute, people will be really impressed in public. I remember playing 40 line and some kids would gather around me like, whoa, that's fast. And I'd put down like a 52-second time. Like, man, there are people who can go about 4 times as fast now. Thank you for having me. I am on YouTube and Twitch at Kirby703. I don't have any social media that I'm active on right now, and I don't really plan on changing that anytime soon. Maybe I'll start like a blog one day. That could be interesting. I've got the stuff to write, particularly about Invis and just like building different Tetris skills and how they connect in general. Like, I cross over between games so much. I think it would be an interesting topic, but I haven't gotten around to that. I probably won't in the next year. That's it for me, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right.
You can do a T-spin triple in NES Tetris. Did you know that? You can spin a T-piece at the top of the board, have it intersecting with the stack when it spawns, and then rotate it so that you're clearing rows 19 and 20 with an extra Mino in 21. Row 21 can't clear, but row 20 will also clear row 1. So you clear rows 20, 19, and 1 for a T-spin triple.
That's so it's like...
You're gonna have to put up a diagram. Yeah, like, you're gonna have to, like, darken row 21, just be like, you can't see this. Yeah, you can't see this is, like, the subtitle of half my Tetris career at this point.